Welcome to the Celebrate Brave podcast, the podcast for women in and around the tech industry. Every week, we dive into the conversations, frameworks, and best practices to help you stress less, work less, and earn a lot more. My name is Nicole Steinbach, your host and the International Bravery Coach for Women in Tech. Let's go. Hey there, Women in Tech, and welcome to this episode. Your time is priceless. It is precious, and I'm grateful that you are spending it here with the Celebrate Brave podcast. And this episode is so worth the investment. So here's the deal. The Build Your Brave framework, it has had an amazing revamp. Oh my gosh. So much simpler, more impactful. My clients are just, wow, are they creating results with this? Because here's the deal. If you want to listen to version 1.0 of the Build Your Brave framework, it is available. It's in episodes 2, 3, and 4. It's also all combined into episode 20 from season 1. So you can totally listen to version 1.0. But honestly, you can just stay here and listen to version 2.0. Over the past 2.5 years, all of my clients and the tens of thousands of people I've spoken to around the world, they've all experienced version 1.0 of the Build Your Brave framework, and it's good. Version 1.0 is good. So many results for so many clients in so many places of the tech industry and in so many different places of the world. And what I've noticed is that even simpler, even more concrete, even more memorable framework structures are working even better. And the whole point of the Build Your Brave framework, the whole point of being my client, of listening to this podcast, is to get results. So here we go. Number 1, all over season 3, I'm actually going to go deeper and way more into my own intellectual property than I ever have publicly before. Not only am I giving you the Build Your Brave framework, I'm actually going to walk you through every single element of the framework. And as I mentioned, my framework is always getting better. It's always maturing. And that is true also for the elements within the framework. So right now there is, wait for it, 19 pieces of intellectual property, of best practices, of framework that I'm going to be making available on season 3. So you're going to get what my clients get. Now, my one-on-one clients, they always get the goodies first, but you are also going to have access over the course of this season of Celebrate Brave to the amazingness that leads to their insane, beautiful results. Okay, second, for context, it is awesome to know all of the content. I share. I give you this knowledge. I share the stories. But y'all, the best coaching comes with love on the inside, not on the outside. Here's some amazing coaching. Knowledge does not create results. Change and action do. So I've heard from you. You love the homework. So I'm going to offer you homework whenever I'm explaining a concept or framework. Look, it's always optional, but here's the deal. You want to be a woman in tech who stresses less, works less, earns a lot more? then you got to do the work. You have to do the work. All right. The third and last contextual element of the Build Your Brave framework and all of season 3, I think. I'm guessing. You want access to these elements that first, you want access, you want a guide, you want a coach to go from knowledge into ability, into action, into becoming who you want to be for the results. Yes, listen to the podcast. This podcast is so valuable. Women all over the world take this incredible insight, this incredible inspiration, and they already make change. But here's the deal. You want results like my clients are getting? You need to head over to turksteinbach.com and you need to get on the wait list to coach with me. The most transformational way for you to get exactly what you want in your career, become who you want to become. You have got to get on my wait list. Okay, so those are the 3 contextual elements. Let's dive in to the actual framework. All right, so who needs this Build Your Brave framework? Well, let me give you a few little tastes. Are you unhappy at work? Are you both angry and sad? Are you somehow overworked but both bored? Doing the same things? Like, what? How am I so tired? How am I so angry and yet so bored? If you're answering yes, you need the Build Your Brave framework. If you're thinking, I think I'm underpaid, or you know that you're underpaid, or you didn't negotiate for your last job, you need the Build Your Brave framework. If you are ignored, dismissed, talked over, you really need this framework. If you do not know the difference right now between a mentor and a sponsor and a manager, you need this framework. And especially if you're watching other people with poorer results, fewer skills, the same old damn identity, get opportunities that you deserve, and you're trying to convince yourself you should be happy with what you have, you need this framework. So if you have felt yourself in any of those statements, and there are so many more, if you're not sleeping well, if you're questioning yourself, if you are asking yourself questions and constantly saying to yourself, I don't know the answer. I don't know. Oh my goodness, there's so many more reasons why you need this, but those are the top ones. Because here's the solution. The solution to all of those problems, as crazy as it may sound, it is true, it is real, my clients' results prove it, is the Build Your Brave framework. Because there's really only 3 things you need to do for the solution. Element 1 of the Build Your Brave framework is clarity. Get clear for yourself and for other people. The second part of the solution is momentum. Get yourself moving towards the clarity with the goal of who you want to become, your values. Then you get into learning. Then you get into acting. Then you get into results. And the third element of the Build Your Brave framework is accountability. This is where you ensure your mindset, your relationships, your habits, and your results are exactly where they need to be because you build accountability to and for you. That's the solution. You got to get clear. You got to get into momentum, and you got to be an awesome expert at accountability. That's it. So what's the process? Like, okay, Nicole, that's fine. But like, how do I actually do that? Well, I'm going to sum up each element of the Build Your Brave framework with a sentence. And then I'm going to tell you the frameworks, the best practices, the intellectual property inside of each. All right. Clarity. You set clear, specific goals and then share them with the people around you. That's it. That's clarity. There are 3 core aspects of clarity, of setting specific, clear goals and sharing them with the people around you. And remember, I'm going to make an episode for every single one of these. So if you're like, what is she talking about? I've never heard that term before. Just hold on. It's coming. And if you don't want to hold, then pop over to my website and get on my wait list. I'm not even playing with y'all. All right. The 3 are your self-concept design. How do you think about yourself? What do you believe about yourself? And who are you becoming? Smart goals. Smart goals. These are the ones that are specific and measurable, the ones that you are accountable for, that are realistic and have a timeline. You got to be really clear. And you got to know how to establish and how to nurture a career board of advisors. Clarity. That was clarity. All right. So momentum. What's the sentence for momentum? You spend just as much time feeling your way to success as you do doing the stuff for success. You got to feel as much as you do. So underneath momentum, there are currently 5 elements. Again, these are always maturing. The learn, act, experience spiral. Number 2, interest interviews. I have an entire podcast episode about that. Number 3, the evaluation framework. How to evaluate, how to make sure that you're never, ever, ever losing. You're either winning or you're learning. 4, spider networking. Spider networking. I'm terrified of spiders, and yet it's such a good framework. It's so powerful. We still talk about it. Spider networking. Then comes the negotiation framework. I already put out version 1 of this in the podcast episode. You're going to hear an even more mature version. And last but not least, in momentum, the interview to outcome framework. This is for people who are stepping into their next role, and all my clients get exactly what they came for, and all of them enter into either a promotion cycle interview or into a new role interview cycle. So the interview to outcome framework, so good. The third aspect of the Build Your Brave framework is accountability. And the sentence for accountability is, you choose who you want to become, and then you do the work to become her. Just going to say it again. You choose who you want to become, and then you do the work to become her. So inside of accountability, these are the frameworks and the best practices. Number 1, circles of control. So good. Number 2, the thought clarity framework. Number 3, prioritization design. 4, decision framework. And 5, crucial conversations. The Build Your Brave framework is the solution to becoming a woman in tech that stresses less, works less, and earns a lot more. You know, my clients have the results, and you're going to hear a number of their stories on this podcast in this season and moving forward. But here's just a small, tiny little slice. Ashley, who was in season 3, she landed her first job in tech. It was 6 figures. And her ROI on coaching was over 1,000%. You got to listen to the conversation to hear all the other amazing results. Dora, who also is in season 3, she created double-digit increases and landed multiple super high visibility opportunities with multiple top name tech companies. She is even loving her hobby. Check out our conversation. It's so good. And then 2 more. Carly, who I actually coached before I even had version 1.0 of the Build Your Brave framework, which is so amazing. She expanded her career to, quote, beyond my wildest expectations. And since we coached together, she has stepped into a new path. She is all over the place. She has reached goals she didn't even know about when we coached together. So awesome. And then the last example I'm going to share in this podcast, but I have a million other ones. Linnea tripled her income in less than 6 months. And they just bought their first home ever. And she has so much more time with her family. So those are the results for each woman from the Build Your Brave framework. And you can have that too. As season 3 goes on, you're going to hear a lot of amazing conversations with my clients and fellow leaders in the women in tech community. And you're going to hear a deep dive of all of these elements of the Build Your Brave framework. You can get whatever it is that you want. Invest in yourself, build your brave, and reach out. Hey, before you go, our fellow women in tech really need these insights. So do them a favor, hop on over and leave a rating and a review on your favorite podcast platform. Help them find the Celebrate Brave podcast. All right, thanks a bunch. Until next time, brave it up.